Okay. And there we go. Now diving in today, it's going to be pretty ambitious of me with the project that I want to do. I want to get a centralized point of stress units in our base. That way we can start to simplify all of our setups. But I also want to build a wall and get started on what is going to be the SteamPunk castle. And this wall is going to be 45 blocks out in all directions. And I'm very limited on the tools that I can use to do this build. Now, those tools we ended up making last episode was the Wand of Symmetry, and this is going to allow us to build and kind of be symmetric about it, right? And this actually has a very, very big range. So I should be able to basically build a square or build that wall utilizing this. So that's one out of the way. Now, the actual extendo grip is another thing, allowing us to reach very, very far, which is very handy, especially when we don't have any sort of creative flight. But we are kind of limited in things like exchangers. We don't really have that. We don't have like building gadgets, and we don't really have any sort of like wand that allows us to place a bunch of blocks at once. At least not that I was able to see. Maybe you guys know more about this than I do, but if you do, let me know down in the comments below. Now, another amazing tool that we do have, however, is the trowel from Quark, and I love this thing. It allows us to randomize the blocks that are in our hotbar. And so it should place gravel, sand, and just kind of randomize it, which is very helpful for building things. Also, we don't have ore excavation either, so we've got to be very careful on what we build. There's no like going back from huge mistakes. Now, I did mention flight. Well, I said we don't really have it, but we do technically have flight. It's very interesting though, and that is using immersive aircraft. Now, there are a couple that we have access to right now, and we could technically make airships and stuff. There are some airships, but I think some of the ones that I want to kind of play around with at the start is the gyrodone. This one right here says a muscle-powered copter. Give it a good push and off it flies. That sounds pretty cool. It also looks pretty cool. And then the quadcopter, which I'm pretty sure I'm familiar with. The quadcopter is interesting. Apparently it says it's perfect for building, and that's about it. Well, we'll see about that. We'll see. I do want to make both of them, and they are very simple. They just require a steam engine that is very cheap to make. Some copper, looks like a tank, and then a blaze burner, which we can buy from our villager friend. And both of these use, actually no, the gyrodone seems to actually use a precision mechanism, which is even cheaper than the quadcopter. So let's go ahead and make that basic engine, and I should have some andesite casings built up. I went ahead and crafted a bunch more andesite. Yes, that is ready to go. Awesome. So we should have everything we need. I think just a seat. This is going to be, yeah, this requires, let's see, seat. And let's do a white one. We should have a little bit of wool still. Perfect. So this is going to help us hopefully get around a little bit faster. We have been using our horse up until this point. So this is going to be, like I said, a bit quicker, I hope. There we go. There's the gyrodone. Perfect. And then this is the quadcopter. Okay, so now we have both of them, and we get to kind of test them out, right? So I'm going to place this one down and then this one down. You know, they're pretty interesting. I think, though, I want to test out... Let's test this one out. So I think by default, there may be a button to access the like inventory to potentially give it fuel to be able to fly, I think. Ah, yes. You open its inventory by just hitting E, like you're opening your inventory. So it has a weapon slot, upgrade slot, and a fuel slot. So this is going to take some coal, and then we can actually go. Okay, so left and right allows us to turn. Forward is your W key. S is backwards. And it looks like shift is descend. Space is to ascend. And then you can dismount by hitting R, which kind of makes it nice. So you can use shift like it's kind of create a flight. And it looks like you can land on it. That's kind of cool. Okay. Now, does this one use fuel? This one apparently is not the same. Oh, this one requires you to have your foot on the pedal Okay, and then you can start. Okay. And there we go. Okay, this is actually kind of nice. This has some nice flight. And once you get it going, it's going, but it requires that initial like boost. Okay. But I'm assuming this isn't like, is this worse than the other one? The quadcopter? The quadcopter requires fuel. This one just needs you. It doesn't look like it. I mean, this would be funny if it actually used like fuel, like your hunger bar or saturation bar. I can't really tell if it's using that or not. But this is kind of cool. And B is like to boost typically on this, but I don't think we have anything that has a boost mechanic. And this does have some upgrade slots as well. That's really cool. So we have improved landing gear, which is 50% takeoff speed. Then we have reinforced hull. The aircraft has a hull upgrade, which is 100% durability. So does this have a durability? That's interesting. And then we have the gyroscope, which aircraft upgrade, which is 100% wind effect, or minus 100% wind effect. And then we have sturdy pipes, 10% engine power. And then we also have a 20% less fuel requirement utilizing industrial gears. And then there is a steel boiler, which utilizes, looks like plus 20% engine power at a cost of more fuel. And I also assume that like the hydraulic engine and the combustion engine both are upgrades. And then there's also the brass propeller, which, yeah, is negative 75% air friction. Now, this is one I've got to see. Okay, so if we put this brass propeller upgrade in here, less air friction? Is it like we accelerate faster? Oh, I do notice I'm not pushing left or right, and I am like moving left or right. So I guess if you wanted to get rid of that, going with the, what was it? Yeah, the gyroscope would probably be very helpful, and it's actually not that expensive. Oh, by the way, since it's dark, this would be actually a great time to make this. You guys said instead of using the bed everywhere, there is a sleeping roll, which is kind of interesting. I didn't even see it. I think it's sleeping roll right here. So a bedroll, that's what it's called, a bedroll. And this bedroll should essentially work as a bed. We lay it down and we can go to sleep on it. So we do have a portable bed that, but we do have to break it whenever we, so yeah, I'll probably end up forgetting it. But yeah, we have to break it to pick it up. But at least we have a portable bed that's not actually a bed, and that's not resetting our spawn point, which is kind of the negative side of using a bed everywhere. However, I kind of want a bed in locations that I think I might die often. Okay. So now that I have this, apparently I can go ahead and upgrade this even further. So I have my propeller. I went ahead and made that gyroscope, and I now put improved landing gear, which gives us plus 50% takeoff speed. And I'm assuming that is going to help with this. Okay, and it seems like our durability, if we run into trees or obstacles, does that change anything? Doesn't appear like it. But yeah, this is kind of nice, actually. I mean, this is definitely better than using a horse getting around. We've just got to be very, very careful. That is kind of the downside. Also, this still is turning left and right on me. So maybe these upgrades don't work so well in this particular copter, but hey, it's still nice. This is fantastic. Okay, now we've got all of the sort of building gadgets kind of out of the way, and now I've got to get started on building. And my plan is to have 45 blocks away from this center point. And so if I actually place down, let's go ahead and configure this to be rectangular. We can place this right here, and anywhere that I build out should be copied to the other side. And I'm pretty sure this, I mean, this has a huge range. So I'm almost positive that we won't have any problems. And also, I am going to be using a lot of this cobblestone brick. The only downside is there is a conflicting recipe with cork with the twigs mod. And so it does make it hard every time I have to go back in and change that config. I wish it would just stay. But this right here is kind of where I have my border set. So 45 blocks, if I place a couple of blocks, we can see that that's going to place here, and then it should also place all the way on the other side over here as well. So this is where things are going to get interesting. It should be placing over here. Maybe it's because that height was in the way, but essentially I do want it to be at what, Y level 68. So changing the mode up, now it's on the octagon mode. This will hopefully place on all sides. Let's see. It's going to place there. So we just seen those blocks place in thin air. Ah, there we go. So now it's placing on all four corners, or all four sides, that is. Now, by the way, just in case you're wondering, the exact location from here, this being 1, is 45 blocks out that way, 45 blocks out that way, and so on and so forth. So you just kind of have to measure one distance. And there is a tool in here that will help you actually measure. And I believe I have it in my bag. It's the abacus from Cork. Cork adds a ton of useful things, the abacus being a really cool one. If you want to measure a distance, for example, this block right here to like this block right here, you can see this is now 12. It started at 1, so 1, and this would be your 12th block. And yeah, you just right click again to change it. And it only goes up, however, to like 42, I think, before it stops counting, unfortunately. So now to get a simple wall, it's just a matter of simply placing this all in. And we're going to notice this is going to be using quite a bit of our materials that are in our hand, but this should directly intersect. This is so much better. Getting this wall placed in is going so much faster now. And the wand of symmetry, like I said, the builder's the best tool. It's got to be the probably the least known best tool from the Create mod. It's so underrated. Now I also want to come in with this, and I want this to be a 3 wide wall. So we're going to have a single block gap in between. And that means I get to start placing in all of these blocks as well. And I'm going to be doing the exact same thing running along. So now after all of that, we can take a look at the wall as it currently is. Now, I'm going to probably need to put some torches down on the in-between sections, but I do want to get some wood lining the inside. So I think it would be a good time to probably chop down almost all of the trees that are lining the inside of this area. Yep, there we go. More of this. And with that, all the trees are for the most part gone, and I have the wall all now pretty much done. And now that was the easy part, because I'm going to go through all of this, and I need to place down slabs in a way that will hopefully prevent mob spawns, but also be functional where you could technically walk through here. So now I have all of the wood placed in, and so I have the basic wall sort of put together. And this is going to be the start of this base, and there's going to be a lot of cool things happening to this wall. We are going to extend off some water wheels. We're going to have some awesome integrated water wheels, at least that's my plan. And I want to lead that into some different sections for different things, like a crop section that we can house multiple crops and use create to farm. And we're also going to need an industrial section, which is going to have some basic automations, while also keeping our tower sort of in the center, but that thing may be changing here in the future. This is also going to be a fantastic line of defense for us. Oh yes, that is going to hopefully help protect us from the craziness that has been spawning in right on the edge. Yeah, it's something else. By the way, I just realized this copter has storage built into it. Oh, that's cool. We have like a little backpack inside of our copter. Now, before I start laying down some different areas, I'm going to start kind of drawing things out. I do want to clear out most of this grass. Like we can always put it back in later, but it's just going to get in the way. It's going to continue to get in the way of the builds, and you can use a hoe to actually clear this out, which is very, very nice. Now, currently I'm plotting out some areas after getting all of that cleaned up, and I'm setting aside here some 11 by 11 boxes. These make sure the interior is a 9 by 9 space, which most things fit comfortably in, but this is going to kind of divide up the amount of space that we have. Because I built out 45 by 45, we should have a nice odd number inside of here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And this box is going to represent like places that we can put things. So I can put like rotational crop farms, for example, inside of here. And then this also gave me sort of an idea. So right here is the center. And this leaves some nice pockets right here. If I don't utilize these spaces with that 11 by 11 shape, what we can do is maybe have some water wheels that are aligned right here. And this could produce a ton of stress units if we were to use shafts and hook up all of these water wheels together into a centralized source. So now with some areas sort of prepped up and ready to go, I kind of got some shapes built up. Let's talk about claiming our area. So you can definitely hold down these buttons and you can claim. So you hold down right click and select to claim. And I mentioned a few episodes ago, whenever we set this up, that if you had it claimed, it would actually, and you place this in, it would actually break it. And I believe it's something to do with the mechanical drills themselves being a part of the contraption. But I do have a way for you guys to fix that. Now, the way that we can fix this is by hitting the apostrophe key. I think that is the default key that this mod is actually set to. And whenever we hit that, you will see the open parties and claims GUI. And this is what I was trying to look for that episode, and I could not find this for the life of me. But I did manage to find this, and I did play around with some settings. So if you go to the player config menu, underneath the default player config, this is a lot here, but if you go to the next page, there is a protect blocks from other, and it's set to every. And if you set this to off, you're going to be good. That should be fine. Now, if you're on a server, keep in mind that this could allow potential griefing of machines coming through your base. So keep that in mind if you are on a server. But this right here, protect every block from players, I'm also going to set that to off because I don't need to worry about that. We shouldn't have any interactions with players. And now with that, we should be good. I want to use the other functions because there are a ton of functions in that open claims. For example, if it's claimed, we shouldn't have fire spreading to other blocks, which is fantastic. And I really don't want fire spread. It'll also prevent this message from popping up every time I change into a different claim. It'll just be that I'm in this claim always. So that's just some interesting things I wanted to mention. And now I should be able to drag and select the entire base and hit claim selected. And now this entire area is claimed, which is perfect. And then I probably want to go back into this area right here, and I want to select it. And even, you know what, we might select the whole thing right here. Let's just select all of this, including our storage, and then we'll set this to force load selected. And so now these chunks are force loaded. So if we're not here, they're still going to continue to run. I'm so glad I figured that out. Otherwise, I was going to be going crazy over not being able to place my contraptions inside of my selected base, and also worrying about creepers coming up and blowing up everything that's behind me. So after making a few more water wheels, I've kind of come up with a concept. Now, this is, like I said, just a concept, but the idea is to make it look like we have water that is flowing out of some sort of side of this wall. And yeah, this is going to be like flowing just like this. And I can go ahead and grab some water here. And I want it flowing right down the center. And then I'm going to have two sets of water wheels, and these are going to go out 9 blocks. So this should be able to fit out to 9. And you can stand on these to actually add to them just like that. And so this is going to be a lot of stress units. I mean, if I do this for all of the sides, so right here, that should be 9. So that'll be 18 times 8. And that equates to something like 144 water wheels. And then if we do the math times 512, then we'll be producing, with all of these water wheels, just for our main base, about 73,000 stress units, which is a lot of stress units, especially considering that, you know, the actual like maxed out steam turbine produces like 144. So this is actually pretty decent. I mean, it does take up a lot of space, but I personally like the way these look. Like, these are going to look really good whenever I have them all decorated. And it's going to fit in very well because Immersive Engineering also has water wheels. And now, just as sort of a concept of like how I would like this to look, this right here kind of works. This could be an ideal design, maybe having some cobblestone down at the bottom here, and how I plan on integrating this into the rest of the build. But up top, we basically have some slabs that are running through, and I had cobble under here until I just broke it. Now all of these are producing the stress from one water source. And these are solid water sources, but I made it look like the water is kind of flowing down here and then flowing down into this and then channeling through all the water wheels until it flows down into the bottom. And I think having multiples of these is going to look really nice. So now after getting this sort of built out, I've removed the water and I'm going to show you something amazing. The Schematicannon. So the Schematicannon is a very fantastic building tool. It's going to be something I am going to probably be using quite a bit. Now, this does need some gunpowder, and thankfully we do have a way of generating gunpowder. Even if we run out, our villager actually sells us the material that can be washed to give us gunpowder, and that is zinc. When zinc is washed, if we take a look, I think if I look at how we obtain this, right, this crushed material has a chance of giving us gunpowder. So we do get quite a bit of gunpowder, and we've gotten quite a bit of it right here. And so I can use this as fuel for our Schematicannon because it's not absolutely free, but it doesn't require rotation or anything like that. And so I should be able to actually copy this and then just paste it right where I want it. And it will actually clear out the blocks too, if there are blocks in the way, including if there's anything in the air blocks. Now, the best way to copy this, I am going to break some leaves here because I don't want these copying over into the schematic because I want to share this schematic with you. A lot of the schematics I'm going to be sharing these inside of the World Downloads channel on my Discord. So if you're a supporter of any tier, you guys do get access to this, same as if you were to get access to the World Downloads every 10 episodes. So it's just a way for me to say thank you to all of you who do choose to support the content I make. Now on to me showing you actually how to do this. If you want to, for example, do this yourself and make your own schematic. So you're going to need two things. An empty schematic is how you program your schematic, and the schematic in Quill is how you create schematics. And so if I want to make a schematic of this, I'm going to go ahead and define an area. Now, technically, this water wheel is only this one block, but I'm going to make sure that this is wide enough to get, to select the entire area. And so up here, I should be able to place this block. And oh, I'm actually going to have to go a little higher than that. This is why having some sort of flight is actually really, really nice. But there we go. I'm going to place it right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and use this to select this area. So I'm going to click this area right here. And then I'm going to run all the way over here and select this area. And now I can kind of look and go, is everything contained inside of this? And I notice this side right here is not actually contained inside. So I'm going to go ahead and discard this, and then I've got to redo this whole process because I didn't make it the appropriate size. So this actually needs to be extended out one more, and then I'll select that and go back and then go ahead and select this. Now, before I'm done, I want to go ahead and break these blocks. I don't want to save this schematic with these blocks actually in here. So the way you do that is once you have the area selected, you can actually go ahead and break the blocks that you don't want inside of that schematic. So now that we have the area set up, I can go ahead and I can right click and I can say water wheel build, or water wheel. Let's say water wheel. I'll just call it water wheel. That'll be perfectly fine. And then I'll just hit save. Now what this is going to do is it's going to save it inside of our schematic folder, which is in the root of our Modpack. So whenever we open this up, you can actually hit this button right here and it will bring that up. Now it looks like there are some interesting things in here. Oh, they included pole arts stuff. Interesting. So there's like some pre-made stuff in here, but you'll see right here, the water wheel is one of these things. So this is kind of interesting. There is an item cart, a fluid cart. I'm assuming these are trains, engine, coal cart. Interesting. But yes, they will be inside of your schematic folder, and then you can open it right here. So if you do download it, just make sure to open your folder and then put that MBT folder inside, or file inside of that folder. Now to program this, we put the empty schematic in, and then we hit program. And that's basically it. This is how easy this is. And then we just need to simply line up the area that we want this to be placed in and then click. Then we're going to get a visual representation of our build. And this is where things get interesting because we can use the Alt key to scroll through our different movements and Control to actually operate them. So I noticed that this needs to be the same height. We can see that right here. Also, I did see I left off the buttons. That's fine. But this needs to be the same height. So now it is on the same Y level. And I'm holding control to make this move up and down. And then I will switch over to the X, Y, and Z coordinate. And I want to send this back. And you look at the face that you want to change the direction of. And I'm using my scroll wheel to actually change the direction here. And so it's pretty intuitive. Like, you'll figure this out real quick, and you should be able to get a pretty good idea of where everything is going to be located. And it just makes it super, super easy, man. This is probably one of the easiest schematic things I've ever used. And so, let's see. Is this exactly in the middle? Let's see. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Actually, we need to move it over 1. So it needs to come this way 1. Now it's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Now it is exactly where it needs to be. And we can also check the back and make sure it is connected up properly. It is. And then we just need to take that schematic that is now set, and we can put it inside of our Schematicannon. So it says it's out of gunpowder. Let's give it some gunpowder. We don't need a whole lot of it, but keep in mind, if you do break this with the gunpowder in it, you will lose the gunpowder. And then we need to add some kind of storage. Let's go ahead and put a barrel on the back of it, because this is going to read off of an attached storage. You can attach it to the top, the bottom. It'll read off of all 6 sides of the Schematicannon, which does look kind of funny when you have a block on top of it. But if we want to be able to detect how many of the items we actually need to craft, we can put a clipboard in here. And now we have a material checklist, and I can see all of the items that are required for this particular build. So cobblestone, a couple of large wheels, some oak, and I should be able to feed all of that into our barrel. So let's put a couple of logs, and I'll be sure to grab this. Let's also grab the water wheels, and I will put all of these in like that. And I believe there was even a couple of stairs. And then there was also a bunch of trapdoors, right? So we'll take this and we'll make sure to make a few trapdoors. So all of these things can go inside, including the cobblestone, and we should be able to rerun our clipboard through. And this will update our list, and we can now see everything is green, which means we now have everything ready to go. But there's a couple more things that I want to go ahead and configure inside of the Schematicannon. So when you're inside of the Schematicannon, there is a show printer settings. And this is very important because depending on what you want, you may want to have blocks overtaken by the air from the schematic or not. It can actually take the air blocks that you had in your schematic and just leave all the original blocks that are in those places alone. But in our case, I do want to replace solid with empty, which will do that. It'll replace the solid blocks inside in the way with air blocks. And it is going to void off those blocks, by the way. You can also skip missing blocks or not. And then there is the protect block entities. I recommend leaving that on. But there's a ton of different options. But I definitely want the replace solid with empty on. And we can go ahead and accept those. And then hit send. And this is going to start building it. And this is such a cool thing to watch happen. And you can see right here, this is the fill air or replace block with air. And you can see it actually doing that right here. And like I said, it doesn't give you those blocks. It does void them off. But it is pretty cool that you can sit here and build these out. Now, I do have a ton of schematics listed over in the channel that I mentioned over on Discord in the World Downloads channel. There's several schematics from me playing Create Arcane Engineering, which is a crazy mod pack. And I have built some very crazy things that utilize the Schematicannon in that pack. So very, very interesting, this thing. And there's a ton of schematics out there for the Schematicannon. There's also a ton of schematics, for example, for building all of the multi-blocks for the immersive engineering. I don't know why I blanked there on the name. But there we go. Now it's all built up. Yes, there's tons of schematics for the Immersive Engineering's mod, which has a ton of multi-blocks. So having something like this would be pretty cool to be able to just place those blocks down for you. But there we go. Nice. So now we have another one that is built up, and all we have to do on these is simply put the water in. Now, once the schematic's empty, we can actually pull the schematic out and just rinse and repeat. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that. And then I just need to go over to the new area over here, and I'll place this in. and then we just need to rotate it in the appropriate direction. So I'll take this and set to rotate, and we can actually spin it around. The animation's so good. Oh man. And I think the Y position does need to go down on this one. And I do want to line these up. I want these all to technically be in the same position. You can also set this to position mode, and then you can reposition where this is currently located, just to make sure it's all matching on the same Y level. Because I do want these all on the same Y level, because eventually I want this whole area to sort of be on the same plane. I want to place this one all the way out here. This one is exactly where I need it, just to kind of show that the range of the Schematicannon is quite large. And it also can be configured more if that's something you want to do. But here we go. I should be able to put this in, and then I'll just run my clipboard through one more time. Oh, I'm so excited for this. And it's ready to go, and we can go ahead and start this. Now, I just realized these are actually 8 water wheels here, so a total of 16, which is a total of like 120 something we need, which turns out to be like 65,000 stress units. So we're going to be producing, after we have all of these integrated into each other, yeah, right at the amount that is going to be 65,000 SU. That's quite a bit. But yeah, just look at the range on this. It can build all the way over here, and it has no problem doing it. So perfect. Just to kind of show what some of these are going to look like. This one over here, by the way, is completely buried in the ground. But I am going to be clearing out most of the area for these. So that is something to keep in mind. Yeah, this one didn't actually place in the water wheels because of the, because of the blocks. I guess it doesn't count as air blocks. So yeah, I've still got a lot of work ahead of me clearing out tons of area here. But that's going to be something I work on in another episode, because today I'm, well, all out of time. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and hopefully you'll learn something new. Maybe it was about the Schematicannon, maybe it was about these aircraft. I can't wait to go flying and adventure some more. Oh, there's lots to come. So if you did enjoy, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and give this video a huge thumbs up. Also, comment down below. It always helps. What did you like about this video? What did you hate about it? I would love to hear from you down in the comments. And with that, it's now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. That amazing thanks is going to go out to Jack Savage 21. Thank you, by the way. Thank you so much for your amazing support and supporting me in one of the best ways possible. And guys, I hope to see you in the next one. And of course, as always, thanks for watching. Bye.